This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team. The final score from Gateshead. Gateshead 1, Wrexham 1. Wrexham snatching a draw with an equaliser deep into injury time. Cole Stockton's first of the season. The ugliest but most beautiful goal that you could possibly imagine. As Wrexham for once actually snatched a goal, a late result changing goal. This feels like a long time since you've been doing that sort of thing. Who knows, maybe this is a sort of promotion side after all. This morning I was looking at a video of Mike Lake's late equaliser in 93 at Doncaster, and sometimes when you nick those late points and just get something from a game that looks lost, that can be much bigger than a win in the final analysis, especially with Salford and Sutton losing as well and maintaining their poor form. Wrexham all of a sudden looking a decent bet as they go into the final decisive point of the season. Only one change from either side. Both teams happy with away wins at the weekend, and from Wrexham's point of view in midweek as well. And that change was enforced as Rob Lainton picked up a shoulder injury in making the save at Boreham Wood. It's hoped to be fit for next weekend, but Christian Dibble came in for his first league match of the season, and Bryan Hughes has only changed to the squad. Luke Simpson coming into the bench. But although we are looking forwards and looking at new players and new manager, it was also a blast in the past which was crucially decisive in this game. Wrexham in control for a good 70 minutes of it, in all honesty, but maybe the decisive change was when the new assistant Brian Flynn saw his old lopsided 4-3-3 come into operation and things just changed dramatically. But more of that later. I beg your pardon, got a bit excited there. That's why my throat's had a bit of pressure on it. The game could be broken up into three very clear passages, or well, maybe we should call it four. Opening 15 minutes when Gateshead were on top of it. They started quickly, got at Wrexham. Their wing-backs really advanced. In fact, their influence summed up after 10 minutes with a move when one of them, Tinkler, who was terrific going forward on the right in this period, swept the ball in. Rigg had a chance in the box, which was blocked well, span out to the left side of the area, where 10 yards out, but from a tightish angle, the other wing-back, Barrow, slammed it into the side netting. And like I said, telling to say, you've got the right wing-back high up the pitch swinging across, the left wing-back at the other side of the pitch attacking it. And that was what Gateshead were doing to Wrexham in the first 15 minutes. It was causing us real problems. They were making the pitch very wide. They were really pushing at us. And in particular, Tinker on the right was causing all sorts of issues. There was a chance before then as well, which probably Tinkler should have scored from, in all honesty. Rigg sweeping a cross and Tinkler picking it up on the edge of the area with a clear sight of goal, a glorious opportunity. Jennings doing brilliantly to lunge in and block him. But then came the second phase of the game, because Wrexham started to tighten up. There started to be better distances between the lines, and Gateshead's domination faded. And for the next half hour, Wrexham were on top of the match really quite massively without really creating all that many opportunities. But it was good to see as Tollett started to get involved. Jennings started linking up with him. And Wrexham's midfield started to show a bit of control, of Luke Young particularly impressive. They had a real opportunity in the 27th minute from a very elaborate short corner routine, something which at first looked terribly clever. And as it developed, started to look like maybe it was off the cuff and a little bit messed up. The ball was worked out in the end to 35 yards out, where Rutherford had to feed the ball back in. But when it did come back in, Tollett found himself in the corner of the 6-yard box in acres of space with a real opportunity. Young had been driving forwards with it. And I think Young rather got in Tollett's way. He tried to chase his own heavy touch. I think if he had left it, Tollett might well have slotted the ball home. But with Young bearing down on it to try and shoot himself, Tollett's scuffed efforts caused no problems, really. A couple of minutes later, another decent opportunity. Jennings sweeping in across. Oswell attacking it between two men 8 yards out, but I don't think he expected it to come to him, and it was a weak downwards header, which was an easy save for the goalkeeper. Wrexham were getting into good wide positions, but with Oswell marked by three big centre-backs, all of whom had a very good game at the back for Gateshead, the service just wasn't quite working out. Oswell found a lot of balls going over him, but he, again, as he has done throughout his Wrexham career, battled manfully up front and did his best to engage with them. The third period of the match was a short one, but looked like it was going to be a decisive one. It was the last 5 minutes of the half, after Gateshead suddenly, completely out of the blue, scored. 40th minute. Until that point, like I said, Wrexham had been dominant, massively dominant. and looked in real control of the game. Gateshead were just sitting back. That back three had become a back five. The two wing-backs weren't making any inroads, and Wrexham just looks in complete control. And then out of nowhere, a really sloppy goal to concede. The genesis of it came when Dibble had been loads of time in the ball at his feet. Instead of just feeding a ball to the feet of Carrington, for some reason scooped a high ball, which turned into an aerial challenge for Carrington against a bigger man. Carrington actually did well to jump into his man and force a Wrexham throw, but when he took the throw, Akil Rice was surprisingly weak. Nudged in the back by Barrow, nothing more than that. Didn't look like a foul, and to be honest, the referee was consistently not giving fouls when players were knocking each other around. And as play went on, rightly, the ball was fed in towards the edge of the area. There was neat interplay between Ollie and Rigg, and the ball was flicked through. Rigg was one-on-one. Dibble did really well to come out quickly, made himself really big. Rigg's shot hit the keeper's body, but unluckily for Dibble, it span up in the air towards the goal, and Rigg had the easiest of tasks just to chase it in and knock it gleefully into an empty net. And frankly, Wrexham looked a bit stunned by that, and the last 5 minutes didn't pass well for them at all. Although Gateshead didn't carve out any more chances, they were on the front foot, and you were worried that Wrexham might concede another opportunity and find themselves 2-0 down. However, they did survive, and in the second half, they came out and looked to take the game to Gateshead. Wrexham completely dominating the second half in terms of possession. Having said that, they found it quite difficult to create. And as I mentioned actually later on, you'll hear in the podcast when I play the analysis from Colin FM, till the 73rd minute, I wrote nothing in the second half. Wrexham were pushing on. Young was extremely energetic. By this point, Oswell was battling away. But other players, it wasn't quite working for. Akil Rice was struggling to get into it. Tollis was uncharacteristically poor with his touch. And things just weren't happening for Wrexham. Walker's passing was off as well. And Gateshead were dropping deep, and it was starting to look a bit familiar, a bit like that side that had that run of 5 defeats and just couldn't score. We just couldn't carve out opportunities. Nicky Devitt came on for Wright with 21 minutes left, an understandable change because, well, if Wright wasn't going to make a difference, maybe Devitt playing in a more advanced position might manage it. But that big change came in the 77th minute, and it was harking back to Brian Flynn's heyday. A switch back to that lopsided 4-3-3 with Holroyd and Stockton coming on to replace Tollett and Carrington. A very bold substitution. Holroyd on the left, Stockton and Oswell in the middle. And Wrexham started tearing forward. I think I expressed it probably well enough in the latter bit of the analysis, so have a listen to that when I explained it. But basically, Wrexham's lopsided shape dragged Gateshead out of shape. They weren't quite sure how to respond to it. And as a result, Wrexham found they were finding pockets of space on the Gateshead half, and they started to carve out chance after chance. A great ball over the top by Jennings found Rutherford, who'd made a superb run right to left into the box, one-on-one with the keeper, but with the angle getting trickier and trickier as the ball bounced away him, tried to lob the goalie, put it over the bar from 6 yards out. Then a far post corner by Young. Oswell nodding the ball down. A glorious chance for Walker 6 yards out, but he took a swing and slashed it well over the bar. Within a minute, Ollie, with the only real effort, Gateshead out in the half, in the corner of the box, setting a speculative effort way over until it was Wrexham going back on the attack. Devitt swinging the ball in, his cross cleared. Walker 20 yards out, shifting the ball away from his man and nailing a tremendous shot which scrapes the bottom of the left post, hit the net support and bounced back out again. A super strike that. Keeper would have had absolutely no chance. Then, as time was running out, 3 minutes to the end, the moment I must be honest, I thought I was going to be dwelling on in a post-match analysis until Wrexham's late equaliser, what looked like a clear penalty to Wrexham. Claiming with a clever pass to start her off by Dibble, in contrast to what happened before the Gateshead goal. Dibble put under pressure by a back pass on a rutted pitch, backpedalled for a second and looked uncertain, but did well to draw the man to him and then drill a good ball out to the right side of his own half, where Lawler picked it up, turned and drove a ball over the top. Great run by Oswell, one-on-one with the keeper. As he hit it, though, he was taken out from behind by Williamson. It looked like a blatant penalty to all of us up here. The keeper saved low down to his left. Oswald didn't quite get hold of the shot. Wrexham furious when the ref didn't point to the penalty spot. 4 minutes were added on. By now, Wrexham were pounding away at Gateshead's penalty area relentlessly and just wouldn't give up. Rutherford coming forwards from a very advanced right-back position with a long ball. Oswell nodding it down perfectly. Holroyd on the edge of the 6-yard box, all on his own, but he just waited for it to come across him onto his right foot, and that just gave a defender enough time to lunge in and make a superb 6-yard box block to deny Holroyd's powerful low shot. But with moments left of the 4 added, Wrexham got that goal. Please don't assume what I'm about to say is accurate. We're quite a long way away from the pitch up at the top of the stadium. It's a running track, of course. I'm not one to moan about that, but having said that, it's quite hard to see exactly what happened in that far goal mouth from us. The ball was launched in by Jennings. There was a scramble in the goal mouth, in which I think Holroyd had a shot which was blocked. Stockton latched onto it 6 yards out, looked certain to score, then bodies got in the way of our view of it, and it didn't go in for a second. We're not sure if it hit it and hit the post, but it must have come back out, and Stockton was able to get to it first, slammed it into an empty net, and went off on a crazy celebration, running across the pitch, across the running track, to the Wrexham fans, joined by Christian Dibble and everybody else, and Wrexham really delighted. You know what? I think if that had gone on for another 2 or 3 minutes, Wrexham would have won that, because that just felt good. That just felt like one of those days where Wrexham were just clicking a little bit. And the sort of side that grab goals in important moments. That could be a hugely significant goal, not just in terms of the result and the extra points, but Wrexham's season and their mindset. Bryan Hughes still unbeaten, and maybe just a bit of a lucky manager, who knows. We were asked in the commentary, an Ask Wrexham question about whether this is the best chance Wrexham have had to be promoted for years, and I pointed out that around this point last year, we went top. Nicky Deverdix had come in, and we were hopeful that he would be the creative wellspring that would help us to push us over the line. Well, we know how that all ended. Maybe this is just feeling a touch difference, because that momentum is looking more forwards. Wrexham snatching a point here. A bit of belief in the squad. You should have seen the celebrations. You will do when you see the highlights, I'm sure. And, well, maybe things are turning around. Ooh, quick asterisk. I say you'll see the celebrations when you look at the highlights. I should point out that when Wrexham won in the FA Trophy here in a penalty shootout, and I was given the video footage to edit, you didn't see the celebrations, because when the Gateshead player missed a decisive penalty, which meant if Louis Moult scored his, Wrexham were through, the Gateshead cameraman was so angry he switched off his camera, and we never got to see Louis Moult score or the celebrations. Let's hope we're a bit more sporting this time. Anyway, we're certainly satisfied. Have a listen to what Colin Henrys and myself had to say after the match when we analysed it on Calon FM.
Lawler plays it forward. Underneath it's Oswell. He flicks it onto Holroyd. He's got Jennings with him if he needs him. Holroyd crosses it into the area. Deverdix after it. It falls in the area. Surely it's in. It's 1-0. It's in. It's Cole Stockton. Wrexham have rescued a point at the International Stadium. Unbelievable. The scenes are incredible. The Wrexham fans go mental over the far side. Even Christian Dibble runs over to celebrate, and Wrexham have rescued a point.
Just as we're saying, the bounce of the ball hasn't gone Wrexham's way. How many times has that bounced in the area? And Stockton, it is Stockton, yeah, has managed to get a killer touch at the end of it.
Well, that was not bad. What a conclusion to that match, and no more than Wrexham deserve. Wrexham getting a point out of the game, a game which, and quite frankly, Colin, we were the better side for about 70 minutes of, I think, comfortably. Yeah. Second half, it was a reward for desire and persistence, but maybe also for Wrexham's bravery and willingness from early on in the second half to throw the kitchen sink at this and try and get something out of it.
Yeah, we were just saying, me and Carl there, then the ball just wasn't sticking up there for all the possession. But as you said, they threw them forward. Cole Stockton was one of them. It was a very brave substitution by Bryan Hughes, and it's paid off because he was there. I still can't quite believe the ball's gone in the back of the net. It just seemed to do everything it could to stay out, and finally Stockton's bundled it over the line. Well,
I'm never one to moan about commentary positions, because we're damn lucky we're able to do commentaries in football matches. But from from so far away, because we're across the running track, it wasn't totally clear exactly how it went, and it looked to me like Stockton, very close range. I think his shot might have been saved, and it looked like the opportunity had gone, and he just managed to get to the loose ball first, in which case, the same as Gateshead goal, a save, but then the ability to hit it, getting to the loose ball first. But I mean, we threw bodies in the box constantly. We pressured and pressured and pressured. We kept going. We took tactical, crazy risks, and ultimately, I suppose, who dares wins. But that's huge credit to the team and Hughes for taking those risks, isn't there, in the second half?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Gateshead are going to feel very hard done by because of conceding a late goal, but it was an even game, which in fairness Wrexham probably did edge possession-wise, maybe not in chances, but then I don't think Gateshead can say they created that many chances either. At the other end, and as I said, Wrexham took the gamble, they threw men forward, they made an interesting tactical substitutions, and that's paid off in the end. And if you carry on throwing the ball up there, eventually something is going to come off. The Gateshead fans booing the referee, I think they might feel there was a little infringement in there, but there didn't seem to be too many protests when the ball crossed the line. So
I can't see for the life of me why the two big controversial decisions were a failure to McMellish in the first half blatantly when he should have done, and he should have all played Wrexham advantage. And then when White got a yellow card, which could have been a red after he's lost his head because he dived and he didn't get a free kick, that was a yellow in itself. Ran up virtually the length of the pitch to smash Jennings after the ball had gone and only got a yellow. I thought he was a bit lucky, so I don't know about that. I think they're complaining about nothing there, to be honest with you, and I think they should be probably relieved. I know it's frustrating to let it go in so late, because we did dominate. Now, the thing is, we had a question to ask Wrexham, has Brian Flynn have you seen his lopsided 4-3-3? And at the time, I just laughed and thought, yeah, that's a good comedy question. We did. So that's what we did. Yeah. That exactly double substitution, that's what we did. We played Stockton and Oswell up front. We had a left winger in Holroyd and nobody on the right, and the alteration from the way Flynn used to set up, because it was a kitchen sink version of it, was that Walker sat in deeper to protect the defence, and Rutherford as a right back was essentially playing as a wing back. It was a really bold, crazy move, and it earned us a point, and it was fascinating to see us do that. It worked, didn't it? Because until that point in the second half, Gateshead was sitting in with their shape. Wrexham weren't finding space, but at that point, that odd lopsided formation dragged Gateshead out of shape. Suddenly there were players arriving, overloads where you don't expect them, and Gateshead weren't sure what to do, and then they lost their shape.
Yeah, overloads, as you said. Early on, the balls up, the long balls were getting cleared by the defenders. In those last 5 minutes or so, all of a sudden, the flick-ons were landing to Wrexham players in the area, and the goals almost come from this. Just another long ball in, at the end of the day, that's dropped kindly multiple times, and luckily at the very end of it, Cole Stockton's put it in, like you said.
Both the balls fell in that period. Since you said about opportunities, we're looking at my notes, and I wrote nothing in the second half till the 73rd minute, but it's all Wrexham. Virtually, and that does show they just ground away. Like I say, tactically it was bold, and wow, back to the future, back to the old Carl Connolly lopsided formation, and we get the victory. Man of the match call as well, Colin. Have you got a name in mind?
Well, I was originally going to say Luke Young, just to try and in what was, he carried on running, didn't he? Kieran Kennedy again looked really good in possession, but you know what? I'm going to get carried away in the moment and say Cole Stockton.
And well, let's get results, and all of a sudden we've got that late goal like other teams have done lately, and that could be a very, very positive sign for us this season. 7
points from 9 games, 2 of those we were down 1-0 at half time. That's a superb return, and a big change, and hopefully a big mental change as well going into these final 11 games.
Absolutely, a fantastic outcome for Wrexham, who came here looking for a 5th win on the row. Didn't get that, but sometimes the late equaliser in a game you think you've lost feels like a win. With a final score of Gateshead 1, Wrexham 1. We've been Mark Griffiths, Colin Henrys and Carl Hogan handing back to the studio. This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.